I almost lost the courage to refuse again, but I thought of my landlord grandfather, of Dad detained in the theater. Teacher Jang, did you ever look at my file? It took an effort to ask the question. If he knew about the speech contests, then he must know about Grandpa and about the Red Guards searching our apartment. His face was expressionless as he moved his hand from the railing and put it in his pocket. He did not reply immediately. We cannot choose our families or our class sums, but we can choose our own futures. He spoke very slowly and clearly. No, you are not a leader, but you are still an educable child. You can overcome your family background, he paused. You have self-esteem, and you always try to excel. That's why I believe you are brave enough to face and eventually overcome the difficulties of life. It was very dark on the stairs. Everything appeared dim except for his piercing, shining eyes. I felt an older brother's sincerity and trust in his look. Brave enough to face and eventually overcome the difficulties of life, I repeated to myself and felt something catch in my throat. I'll do it, I said simply and walked away. I was afraid I would cry if I said another word. The sun was setting, and the western sky was a sheet of gold and rose. I stopped, my heart full of awe at the immensity of the world. I had wanted to give up. I had almost stopped trying to be brave, to be an educable child. I saw another part of myself, a part full of fear that I had to struggle against. I would not allow myself to stop trying to follow Chairman Mao. Whatever my family background was, I would overcome all difficulties. My future would be bright. As it grew dark, the whole city seemed to slow down. The school, too, was no longer in its bustling daytime self. Only the propaganda group office was ablaze with light, like a brightly lit cabin in the middle of the dark and silent forest. On the other side of the room, Baishan and some other boys were painting a picture in preparation for the class education exhibition. We girls were sitting around a big table, gluing dyed millet grains onto a huge sheet of paper to make a portrait of Chairman Mao. It's taken us 6 hours just to finish 2 eyebrows and the ears. This is going to be a long job, a girl said. She spoke quickly and loudly, sounding just like her nickname, Ducky. If I had known that it was going to take this long, I would have said, let's just draw something, Fang Fang grumbled. Come on, we all agreed to do this. Chang Hong moved quickly to put down the disagreement. She pointed at Ducky with her tweezers. You said that we should do something new and different. She turned to Fang Fang, and you said that the three-dimensional millet grains would look better to show our loyalty to Chairman Mao better than a drawing. Do you remember? I didn't say I wanted to quit. I just said it's slow, Ducky said sulkily. We better stop arguing and get back to work, I said. Otherwise, we'll never finish. I looked up at the boys' table and hoped that they were not laughing at our squabbling. Let's take a break, Chang Hong suggested. Have some steamed buns while I go make some tea. If we just march on resolutely, we're bound to succeed. She threw a bag of buns on the table and ran out. No one said anything. Ducky took a bun and bit into it. That afternoon, we couldn't wait to start. We had all bustled around boiling water and dyeing millet and getting snacks. The enthusiasm had reminded me of the glorious revolutionary activities that I had seen in movies. We were proud to be a part of the revolution, excited to be doing such an important job. Now, only a few hours later, the enthusiasm had completely disappeared. We had not anticipated that the job would take so long. Now it seemed that we would have to work all night to finish before tomorrow's meeting. I couldn't help yawning. This would be the 4th time I had worked all night since we had started to prepare the exhibition. Although it was months away, there were still so many things to do, so many deadlines to meet, deciding on the contents of the exhibition, writing the script, designing the layout, decorating the exhibition hall. I was amazed at how I could do so much and still leave time for study and housework. Jiangji Li, one of the boys, called me. I was surprised that it was Bai Shan. It was the first time that I had ever heard him call me by my name. The painting is done. When Chang Hong comes back, tell her that we've gone home. He started to go, then stopped and gestured towards the painting. Don't touch it. It's not dry yet. As soon as the boys left, we rushed to look at their picture. It was a Chinese ink painting. The rising sun was spreading its rays, and a rooster was crowing loudly and joyfully. The rooster sings, for the east is turning red, Ducky said loudly. Read loudly, wow, that's a great picture. And the handwriting is so beautiful too, I added. Bai Shan is really talented, isn't he? He does everything so well. You like him, don't you, Ji Li? I think he likes you too. He's always looking at you, Ducky said suddenly. Don't be so childish, I snapped. Having my name connected with the boys was the last thing I needed. Things were hard enough as it was. Spare me your dirty gossip, all right? Just in time, Chang Hong came rushing in. Here's the tea. What's up? Oh, they're finished? Let me have a look. She elbowed her way to the front. What do you think? It's really wonderful, isn't it? Ducky gushed. Chang Hong considered. Why isn't the sun painted red? Since the title is The Rooster Sings for the East is Turning Red, the sun should be red, shouldn't it? Her hand was almost touching the painting. Ever since Baishan had left the study class that day, Chang Han seemed to disapprove of him. She was, after all, a Red Guard committee member, and she suspected him of disrespect toward Chairman Mao. I gently moved her hand away. This is an ink painting. It only uses black ink. By 3 o'clock in the morning, we could hardly stay awake. Tea and snacks could no longer stimulate our exhausted minds. We yawned in turn, as if we were counting off in formation. As soon as Chang Hong suggested that we take turns sleeping, Ducky and Fan Fan laid their heads on the table and fell fast asleep. Chang Hong and I washed our faces in cold water and soldiered on toward Chairman Mao's collar. Outside our office, the world seemed to disappear. The dark silence seemed the dark silence seemed to gradually thicken until even time could not move as usual. Each minute seemed endless. My eyes were dry and heavy, and I could not control my hands. I had to try over and over to pick up each grain of millet. I wish I could go home and sleep under my own warm quilt. Home, I sighed. There's still no news about Dad. Mom had secretly asked Uncle Tian for information, but all we knew was that Dad still refused to confess and had been the victim of several struggle meetings. I could not think of those meetings without thinking of the scene shop foreman's icy stare. I could not help wondering what Dad had done. I sighed again. What's the matter? Chang Hong raised her sleepy eyes. Oh, I'm just sleepy, I guess. A moment later, Chang Hong said to me softly, Ji, I envy you so much. Envy me? Why? I was surprised beyond politeness. You're so good in school and so talented. Oh, that doesn't mean anything. Looking into her earnest eyes, I blurted out, I envy you. You have such a good family and such a good political status. She looked down at the table blankly. After a long while, she spoke again, slowly and softly. My brother has epilepsy. He's 11, but he can't dress himself or feed himself. She paused. He has seizures every day, at least one or two, sometimes more. That's terrible. I could say nothing more. I love him very much. She raised her eyes again to look at me. I'm his favorite. Sometimes he won't eat when my mother tries to feed him, but if I do it, he will. I could hardly believe that this person was the revolutionary Chang Hong I knew. Will he die? I could not stop myself from asking. She looked down at the table again. It seemed like a long time before she answered. The doctors say he won't live past his teens. We just don't know. He's not in very good shape these days. Why don't you stay home with him? In case I've thought about that. She looked away from my face to the litter on the table. But we can't allow personal matters to interfere with revolutionary duties, especially for an important political assignment like the exhibition. Watching her sincere and earnest eyes, I completely forgot that she was a Red Guard committee member. Through the quiet of the early morning, we talked and talked like friends or sisters. By the time our classmates arrived at school the next morning, we had finally completed the picture, made with thousands of millet grains and thousands of yawns. But we could not enjoy our accomplishment or the praise of teachers and classmates. We put our heads on the table and fell fast asleep.